Fluent Flow podcast. New videos every day. Let's learn English together.
Welcome to another deep dive.
Great to be here.
Today, we're plunging into a skill that genuinely touches every single aspect of our lives, yet for so many of us, it often feels incredibly elusive. We're talking about self-discipline.
That's right.
We're going to explore what it truly means, why it's absolutely essential for achieving your goals, and perhaps most importantly, how you can actually build it step by practical, actionable step.
Yeah, our mission here is really to extract the most potent nuggets of wisdom from the source material you've looked at, helping you understand not just the what, but the crucial why and how of self-discipline. We're drawing heavily today from a really compelling source titled Self-Discipline, Your Path to Success. And it offers, I think, a remarkably clear and actionable roadmap.
It really does.
Not just for understanding, but for implementing self-discipline in your daily life. So yeah, get ready for some genuine aha moments, hopefully.
Definitely. So really, what does this all mean for you listening right now? It means that by the time we wrap up this deep dive, you should have a much clearer understanding of how to take control of your actions, to really direct your efforts, and ultimately to powerfully shape your own success.
It's about empowerment, really.
Yeah.
Being the architect of your own achievements.
Exactly, not just reacting to things. So let's dive right in.
Let's do it.
Okay, let's unpack this core idea first. We hear the term self-discipline all the time, right? In conversations about success, personal growth, achieving anything significant.
It's everywhere.
But what exactly is it at its very heart? Our source, this self-discipline, your path to success, describes it pretty concisely. It calls it the ability to control your actions. Simple enough. And then it adds a critical layer. It's about doing the right thing, even when it's hard.
Ah, yes.
And that second part, the even when it's hard, I think that's where it really lands for most of us, you know? We know that internal struggle.
Absolutely. And what's fascinating right off the bat is how the source frames it. It's not some inherent trait you're just like born with.
Right, like eye color.
Exactly. It explicitly defines it as a skill, an ability, something that can be developed, nurtured, strengthened over time, like a muscle, actually.
That's such an empowering way to think about it, isn't it? It means anyone can cultivate it.
Anyone, regardless of where you feel you are right now, it's fundamentally about making a conscious, deliberate choice. You choose to override those immediate desires, those impulses.
Instant gratification.
Yeah, exactly. Instant gratification. You override that for a greater, more significant long-term benefit. It's that internal negotiation, isn't it, where the future you wins out over the present you that just wants comfort or ease.
Saying no now for a bigger yes later.
Precisely.
And the source gives some incredibly relatable examples, things we face every day.
Like what?
Well, like that classic dilemma. You really want to binge watch your favorite show, but you know you should be studying for that exam.
We've all been there.
Self-discipline is making the choice to study. Or another one, maybe it's cold. You want to stay cozy in bed.
Oh, definitely.
But you know your health goals mean getting up to exercise. Self-discipline is actually leaving the bed, putting on the shoes, getting moving.
They're not like huge heroic acts in the moment.
No. They're small, everyday choices, but powerful ones.
And critically, it connects to persistence. That's often the overlooked part, I think. The source highlights that moment we all recognize. That feeling when you want to quit, but you keep going.
That moment of truth.
Right. And this really underscores that self-discipline isn't about some impossible ideal of perfection. It's not about never stumbling, never having a bad day, never feeling lazy.
Which is a relief.
Totally. The source emphasizes it's about being consistent, even on hard days. And this raises a really important question for us, doesn't it? How often do we mistake discipline for flawless execution?
Yeah, like you have to be perfect or it doesn't count.
When in reality, its true essence is just in the simple, often gritty act of showing up consistently, day after day, even when resistance is high.
It's that dogged determination, maybe, to just get back to it after you slip up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Rather than expecting every single attempt to be perfect, that's the real win.
So the key takeaway right from the start seems pretty clear. Self-discipline isn't about being perfect. Thank goodness.
Yeah, takes the pressure off.
It's about being consistent. It's about that repeated action, even when motivation is, taking a nosedive.
It's the difference between doing something once and doing it enough times for it to actually matter.
Right. Okay, so if that's what it is, why is it so critical? Why does it matter so much?
Well, connecting this to the bigger picture, this ability, this cultivated skill, it becomes absolutely essential for, well, pretty much anything meaningful we want to achieve.
Right.
The source paints a really stark contrast, doesn't it? Between a life lived with self-discipline and one lived without it. It's like two completely different paths.
And without it, the picture isn't great, is it? The source says, quite bluntly, it's hard to finish what you start.
Oof. Yeah, that resonates.
Doesn't it?
Yeah.
All those half-finished projects, those abandoned goals, even just the long list of things we meant to do. It also says it's easy to get distracted. And in our world today, that feels more true than ever. Phones buzzing, notifications.
Constant pull on our attention.
Yeah. And maybe the most sobering part is when it says, your goals stay only in your dreams.
Wow. That's powerful.
It is, isn't it? A bit heartbreaking, maybe, for anyone who has ambitions but struggles to make them real.
Yeah.
It's the gap between intention and actualization.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? How many unfulfilled aspirations, how many potentials we haven't reached are simply down to a lack of sustained, disciplined effort?
Rather than lack of talent or opportunity.
Right. It shifts the focus, I think, from blaming external things to looking at our internal agency, our own choices. But conversely, the source is really clear. With self-discipline, the benefits are truly transformative. It tells us, quite simply, you get things done.
Fundamental.
Absolutely. For any kind of progress. It also says you build confidence, because there's nothing quite like that feeling of actually accomplishing what you set out to do day after day.
It snowballs, doesn't it?
It really does. It builds this deep internal belief in your own capabilities. And finally, it promises that little by little, you create success. It's not about overnight miracles.
No lottery wins here.
No, it's the steady, inevitable accumulation of small wins that just compound over time.
And here's a point that I found really interesting, a really profound insight the source emphasizes. Even small actions repeated every day lead to big results.
Yes, this is so key.
We often chase those grand gestures, don't we? We think success needs some huge dramatic leap.
Like you have to change everything all at once.
Exactly. But the real power, according to this, isn't in that one-off sprint. It's in the relentless, almost invisible accumulation of tiny, consistent steps.
It's like that saying about the river carving the canyon.
Right. Not one big flood, just endless tiny trickles over ages. Or like compound interest in finance, maybe.
That's a great analogy. Each small deposit, made consistently, grows exponentially.
So for you listening, think about that. How could even seemingly tiny daily steps, that extra 10 minutes of practice, reading one more page, making one small healthy choice, how could that compound over weeks, months, years?
It could lead to truly extraordinary outcomes you might not even imagine right now. It's the quiet power of the incremental.
Okay, so we've talked about what it is and why it matters so much. Now let's get into the really actionable part. How do we actually build it?
The practical steps.
Yes, the blueprint. Our source, Self-Discipline, Your Path to Success, outlines 7 simple but I think really powerful steps to start building and strengthening this skill.
Right, moving from theory to application.
Exactly. Let's start with the first one, which feels absolutely foundational. Step 1, set clear goals.
Can't hit a target you can't see.
Precisely. Before you can exercise discipline towards something, you have to know what that something is. The source advises asking 2 key questions. What do I really want? And just as importantly, why is this important to me?
That why is crucial, isn't it?
It's the fuel. It's not just the objective, the what, but the underlying motivation, the values. That's what keeps you going when it gets tough.
Absolutely. And that specificity is key too. Vague desires like I want to be successful or I want to get fit, they're just too fuzzy for the brain to latch onto.
Right. What does success even mean?
Exactly. There's no clear target. The source gives a brilliant example of transforming the vague into the concrete instead of, I want to speak English fluently.
Which is a huge undefined goal.
Right. It shows how to turn that into a practical, measurable action. I will practice English for 15 minutes every day.
Ah, see the difference. Specific time, daily frequency.
Total clarity. It's not just practice, it's 15 minutes, not someday, but every day. This transforms a wish into something you can actually do. The source really stresses being specific, realistic, and clear.
Otherwise, your disciplinary energy just kind of dissipates, right? Like smoke.
Yeah, it needs direction. This step lays that foundation, turns those abstract hopes into tangible tasks.
Makes perfect sense. You need that North Star. Okay, so once you have that clear, specific goal, step 2 builds right on it. create a routine.
Integrating it into your day.
Yeah. The source suggests making discipline easier, almost automatic, by establishing a consistent routine around that action, taking the decision-making out of it.
This is where the power of habit really comes in. The source says, your brain loves habits. And that's not just a saying, it's neuroscience.
Our brains are efficiency machines.
Totally. When you pick a consistent time, like the example, every morning at 8 a.m., I practice English, you drastically reduce the mental energy needed each day to decide if or when you'll do it.
The decision is already made.
Exactly. Your prefrontal cortex, the part dealing with willpower and complex decisions, gets a break. The more you repeat it, same time, same way, the easier it becomes. You're literally carving neural pathways.
Making it automatic. So routines basically automate the behavior. They reduce reliance on that raw willpower, which we know is finite.
Like a battery that drains.
Yeah, so automating conserves that energy for when you really need it. It's about making the action something you just do, not something you debate doing every single time.
Precisely. You're leveraging your brain's natural desire for efficiency to work for your goals, not against them.
Okay, very powerful. Moving on to step 3, start small. Now this one I think is a real game changer for so many people because it tackles a huge pitfall.
Oh yeah, the too much too soon trap.
Exactly. The source warns. Many people quit because they try to do too much. We get all fired up, set these massive goals. I'll run 5 miles every day starting tomorrow, or I'll study 3 hours straight.
And then day 3 comes.
And you're exhausted, feeling like a failure, and you quit. The advice here is beautifully simple. Start with just 5 or 10 minutes.
It's such a crucial insight into our psychology. Overwhelm is maybe the biggest barrier to sustaining new habits. If a task feels too big, too daunting.
Your brain just wants to avoid it.
Right, procrastination kicks in, even if the goal is important. But by focusing on small wins, like the source suggests, you bypass that initial resistance. You create a positive feedback loop.
Success breeds success.
Exactly. Even tiny success fuels more success. You build momentum and confidence almost immediately. Those small wins lead to big wins. You prove to yourself again and again, I can do this, which lowers the barrier for next time.
It's like nudging a snowball downhill.
Perfect analogy. Once it starts rolling, it builds its own momentum.
So instead of that daunting, I'll study English for 2 hours today, which feels huge,
Yeah, impossible sometimes.
the commitment becomes, okay, I'll just do 10 minutes. And then you just repeat that small, doable thing every day. That initial success makes bigger commitments feel possible later on.
Absolutely. It ensures that initial success fosters that positive reinforcement, encourages continuation instead of burnout. You build the foundation and slowly increase the load as your discipline muscle gets stronger.
Right, build the muscle gradually. Okay, next up. Step 4, remove distractions. This feels almost obvious, right?
You think so?
But it's often the hardest one to actually do in our modern world. The source points to the usual suspects. Phones, noise, social media, all can break your focus. We know this.
Intellectually, yes, but acting on it consistently, that's another story.
Totally.
And here the source makes a really profound point. Discipline grows when your environment supports your focus. It's not just about willpower battling distractions.
It's about setting up your environment for success.
Exactly. Proactively structuring your surroundings so that disciplined action is the path of least resistance. If your phone's buzzing constantly or you're in a noisy place, your brain is constantly fighting those pulls.
It's exhausting.
It depletes your mental energy. So the source suggests practical things. Turn off your phone, maybe even put it in another room. Find a quiet space or use headphones. And crucially, focus on one task at a time.
Ah, the myth of multitasking.
Right. It usually just leads to fractured attention, more stress, less actual productivity. It's about creating an attention-safe zone, not just hoping your willpower is superhuman.
I can definitely relate. How many times have I sat down to do something important only to find myself scrolling social media 5 minutes later?
We've all done it. The environment acts like a trap sometimes.
This step is really about taking control of those external factors, designing your space to win.
Precisely. It's proactive environmental control. You remove the triggers, making the desired behavior easier and way more sustainable.
Okay, shifting focus now from the external to the internal. Step 5, use positive self-talk.
The inner dialogue.
Yeah, that conversation we have with ourselves all day. The source advises something simple but profound. Talk to yourself like a coach, not a critic.
Your words matter.
Yeah.
It sounds simple, but think about the power of that inner voice. When things get hard, that inner critic can be brutal, right?
Oh yeah, you can't do this, you always fail.
Exactly, it sabotages you. But the source says, consciously choose the supportive coach voice instead. It gives examples of empowering phrases. I can do this.
Reinforces belief.
One step at a time.
Breaks down overwhelm.
I don't need to be perfect, just consistent.
Addresses that perfectionism trap.
Right. This positive narrative is like psychological fuel. It helps you push through resistance and self-doubt, reframing challenges as opportunities, not dead ends.
It's amazing how much negative self-talk can derail us. Just shifting from I can't to I can take one small step can unlock so much energy.
It highlights that huge psychological component. A supportive mindset can literally make or break your ability to persist, training your brain to be your ally.
Not your adversary. Makes sense. Okay, step 6. Track your progress. This feels crucial for motivation. How do you know you're making progress, especially when results aren't immediate?
Seeing is believing, right?
Yeah. The source recommends something straightforward. Use a notebook or an app to keep a record.
And the reason is powerful. Seeing your progress builds motivation and momentum. This taps right into behavioral psychology, positive reinforcement, visual feedback.
Like putting gold stars on a chart.
Kind of. The simple act of marking off completed tasks, Moo Monday practice 15 minutes, Ooh Tuesday practice 15 minutes, creates a tangible visual record.
Proof of your effort.
Exactly. It turns abstract effort into measurable achievement. This visual feedback gives you a little dopamine hit, that feel-good chemical reinforcing the behavior. Plus, it encourages you to keep the streak going.
Nobody likes breaking a streak.
Right. It feels like a loss,
Right.
which motivates you to stick with it. It makes discipline feel concrete and rewarding.
That visual cue, seeing the check marks add up, it really does give you a boost, doesn't it? Keeps you accountable too.
Absolutely. It's tangible evidence, fostering accountability, turning effort into achievement, and reinforcing the desire to continue. A powerful tool.
Okay, finally, step 7. Celebrate small wins. This one might sound a bit counterintuitive if you think discipline means being hard on yourself.
Yeah, like no fun allowed.
But the source insists celebration is vital. Finish your task, say, good job. Give yourself something small. A smile, a walk, a tea.
Not huge rewards, just small acknowledgments.
Right.
And the neuropsychology here is fascinating. Celebration teaches your brain that good habits feel good. This is huge.
Linking effort to positive feeling.
Exactly. When you finish the disciplined action and immediately follow it with a small positive reinforcement, even just a mental pat on the back, you're creating that positive feedback loop. Linking effort with pleasure.
Dopamine again.
Likely involved, yes.
Well.
It's essential for building and sustaining habits long term. It creates a reward system that makes you actually want to do it again, even when motivation dips. Your brain starts associating the action with a good feeling.
So this step closes the loop on habit formation. Linking the effort with positive feelings ensures the behavior gets reinforced, making it more likely to stick. Building a system that rewards consistency.
Precisely. It makes the whole process more sustainable and, frankly, more enjoyable.
Okay, so we've laid out the 7-step blueprint. It sounds clear, logical, but let's be real.
Life happens.
Life happens. We've all been there. Some days, despite all the best intentions, the routines, the small steps, it just feels incredibly tough.
Motivation tanks. Resistance is high.
Yeah. The source acknowledges this very honestly. Some days will be tough. That's normal. You might feel tired or lazy or frustrated. It's not a sign you failed.
It's part of the process.
Exactly. Remember, it's about consistency, not perfection. And consistency means pushing through those hard moments.
So the question becomes, how do we respond when that motivation dips? When willpower feels gone? When the couch is calling your name?
What do you do then?
The source offers 3 really powerful anchors, like mental tools, to grab onto in those moments. First, your why you started.
Back to step 1.
Exactly. That foundational purpose, the deep reason behind the goal. Reminding yourself of that can reignite your resolve when the task feels like a slog.
Okay, anchor 1, your why.
Second, your progress. Look at how far you've come. This is where tracking pays off again.
The visual proof.
Yeah, it's a tangible reminder of your past successes, the effort you've already invested. It proves you can do it because you have done it. Huge motivator.
Anchor 2, your progress.
Got it. And third, your power. You can keep going. This is about tapping into that inner belief in your own resilience, your own strength. It's an affirmation that you do possess the capacity to continue, even when it feels hard.
Anchor 3, your inner power. Purpose, progress, power.
Those three provide immediate mental tools to push through, reminding you why you're doing it, that you've done it before, and that you have the strength to do it again.
And I think the ultimate analogy the source uses is just perfect. It really sums it all up. It says, discipline is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets.
Love that.
Isn't it great? It means every single time you push through a tough moment, every time you choose the disciplined path over the easy one, you're not just completing a task.
You're doing reps.
You're doing reps. You're actively strengthening your capacity for self-discipline itself. Each act builds resilience, makes the next one slightly easier. You're building the capacity to do the work.
Strengthening the muscle.
Okay, so wrapping this up, this deep dive into self-discipline, your path to success has really hammered home a critical truth, I think. Self-discipline isn't about being perfect.
Not at all. It's about consistently showing up again and again. And maybe one of the most liberating parts is the idea that resilience is just as important as the initial effort.
How so?
The source says, even if you fall off the path, get back on. That permission to stumble, to mess up, have an off day.
And not beat yourself up endlessly.
Right. And then just restart without that harsh self-judgment. That's crucial. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be willing to try again.
Yeah.
That combination of self-compassion and persistence, that's the real engine.
That's really powerful. So remember, you are learning, you are growing, and every single small step, no matter how tiny it feels, it genuinely matters. That cumulative effect is real.
It adds up.
The source's final challenge for you, for all of us, is so simple, almost deceptively so. Today, choose one thing. Just one. Do it. And tomorrow, do it again.
Just start.
Yeah.
And keep starting.
Yeah.
And if we connect that to the bigger picture one last time, imagine applying these principles to just one small area of your life. How could that initial disciplined action create a domino effect? Maybe it cascades into other areas, subtly transforms your abilities, builds your confidence.
Opens up possibilities you hadn't even considered.
Exactly. Maybe starting with 10 minutes of reading leads to a love of learning, impacts your career, changes financial habits. Who knows? Your success is waiting. And self-discipline, it seems, isn't just a nice-to-have trait.
It's the key.
It really might be the key that unlocks it.
Thank you for watching. See you in the next episode.